Black Power, y'all. It's your girl, Chief Diva Tariva of the Black Hammer Organization. And today I'm talking to you about another segment of the Fire to Inspire, brought to you by Black Hammer Organization. We are the biggest, the baddest, worldwide revolutionary organization bringing colonized people together to fight imperialism, capitalism, and colonialism. We got boots on the ground near a hood near you, okay? So you might be asking yourself, what is a colonized person? Are you black or of African descent? You colonized. Are you what they call a Latina? You are colonized. Are you of Asian descent? You are also colonized. We are what they call the crayon people, you know, the people of color. So if you are a person of color, you are colonized. And you need to join Black Hammer because we can fight for your liberation. So today, you know, it's just this week, you know, we dealing with this coronavirus. We doing our best to stay sane. And right now, during quarantine, I'm just doing what I do, you know, drinking my wine. I actually got wine in my wine glass, y'all. I'm kind of proud. You know, trying to stay cute, to stay indoors. Got all this cute jewelry on and stuff. Shout out to my sister KK for keeping me cute. So, you know, this week, me and hubby actually got the chance to go out, you know, to get some more supplies to fight this coronavirus. We're talking about cleaning supplies. We're talking about medical grade masks. There's actually a store in my hood that sells these masks. And we were just in there. And I don't know about y'all, but I have been hearing and seeing on my timeline some of the craziest shit about this coronavirus. So we were sitting there. It was the security guard at the local dollar store. And he was like, he's looking at everybody. We're trying to do our precautions for the coronavirus. You know, we're standing 6 feet apart and we're not trying to breathe on each other. Nobody's trying to touch each other. We got on our medical grade masks and our gloves and shit. And he's like, look at this. I can't believe this. Like, I would never think this. He's like, all of this is happening to us just because some dude in China was like, I bet that bat slapped though. And me and my husband, we look at each other like, is this really what people think? People think the coronavirus is because some man in China wanted to eat bats? And then I have friends like on my timeline saying things like, oh no, we should sue China. All these people dying all over the world, all because they want to have, you know, they have those wet markets. All those wet markets, you know, they're killing all those animals because they like the blood and stuff. And it's just like, that is the most racist shit I've ever heard in my life. First of all, like, I had to do my research. I was like, what are the wet markets? Maybe I'm confused. What are those? And like, I did my research and come to find out, you guys, wet markets have always been around since people needed, you know, produce and they needed meats and fishes and things. There's a wet market on every port everywhere in the world. So what are we really saying, like, about our Asian brothers and sisters, our Asian siblings? You know, they are dealing with this as well. They're dealing with this coronavirus and they are trying to just survive just like the rest of us. Like, one thing I can say, I don't know how this shit started. You know, I mean, I got my own theories, you know what I mean? Because if we're talking about biological warfare, we know who number one in biological warfare is. I mean, come on. They used to give smallpox blankets to the Native Americans. Like, clue. Those was the ones. But anyways, I digress. So, when we're thinking about biological warfare, what I think about is, I don't think about it. Forget that. What I'm thinking about is, when I think about the Chinese brothers and sisters, not about if it started there, but what did they do to handle it? Like, did they try to contain it? Yes, they fucking did. And even though it started there, has pretty much stopped there. They did everything they could to prevent the spread of this virus. So I know that a lot of this rhetoric that is going around, it's just fucking racist. Like, do your research. Saying anything else, it's just putting violence on those innocent Asian people in our communities. And as a black person, I know what the relationship between like an Asian person and a black person in a black community. But I don't know what it's like living in China. You know, I don't know that. That's not my life. But I do have comrades who are Chinese. I have comrades who are Korean. I have comrades who are Japanese. I have comrades from all over the world. And I listen to them when they tell me their story. And that's what we all should do. Let's listen to the truth here, you know? And then the other crazy shit that I'm hearing on my timeline, I'm seeing on my timeline, I don't know if you guys have seen it, but that fucking, that sellout Andrew Yang, Andrew Lang, I don't know, whichever one it is, y'all know who I'm talking about, telling Asian people, oh, you just gotta be more American. You're just gonna be more American. That'll stop racism. Just be more American. You know, wave the flag. Like, what does that even mean? What does that really mean? And it just brings me up into my next lady. Okay, so when I'm dealing with all this, I'm seeing all this weird racist bullshit going on. I'm like, for this next segment, I got shout out to my comrade Kat. Thank you, Kat, for sending me in this direction. Okay, so this woman, woo, y'all, talking about spirit, just the spirit of this woman is everything right now. It is exactly what we need. I need all of y'all to look up Miss Yuri Kochiyama, okay? Yuri Kochiyama. Oh, she is an ancestor. Let's talk about Yuri Kochiyama, y'all. So, Yuri Kochiyama was one badass revolutionary mama, okay? Revolutionary mama. Yuri Kochiyama. She was born, you know, probably in the 1920s. So her story really began in her life, she says, around December 1941. At this time, Yuri Kochiyama was about 20 years old. She was living with her family, a Japanese-American family, and they were living in an affluent, middle-class neighborhood in San Pedro, California. Okay, so it's the mom, the dad, Yuri, her brothers and sisters. And like I said, they were doing exactly what Mr. Andrew Yang, Andrew Lang, whatever his fucking name is, they were doing what he is telling people to do right now. They were trying to prove that they were the model American citizen. Okay, so they went to church, you know, they were community leaders, they were educated here in America. All the children were born here. Yuri was born here. Her older brother was attending Berkeley University, you know. They were doing exactly what you're supposed to be doing to be accepted in American culture. And then, just like now, some shit happens that is completely out of their control. There was nothing they could do about this. It's December 7th, 1941. I don't know if you know this, but what happens on December 7th, 1941 is a boom, Pearl Harbor. Pearl Harbor happens. You know, they blow up Pearl Harbor, Japan. FDR gets on the news and says, round up all the Japanese. Round them up. They are now prisoners of war. These are technically American citizens, y'all. They arrested and rounded up 120,000 Japanese descended people here in America. Now, 70% of these people, they were born here, so they are technically American citizens. The other 30% were their parents, who were law-abiding people, who own businesses, who own homes, who pay taxes, who did all the shit that they tell you to do so that you can prove that you are an American citizen. But that don't mean shit when things hit the fan, okay? So they rounded them up, and they started to throw them in concentration camps. On this day, so Pearl Harbor happens December 7th. December 8th, you know, they start rounding people up. They come knocking on the door. It's Yuri and her dad home. Her dad just came home from having ulcer surgery, and they're like, "Where's your daddy?" And she's like, "He's asleep." And they're like, "Well, go get him." And she's like, "For what?" And they bust in the house. They take her dad out of there. They don't tell her where they're taking her dad. They don't tell her why they're taking her dad. They just fucking take her dad. Which, is oddly familiar to the shit that's happening right now to my indigenous brothers and sisters with their babies. They just taking people's babies and locking them up, splitting up families. This is what they do. Over and over again. History. Breaking up families. So they take her dad. They lock him up. Yuri is going crazy. She don't know what to do. They get a lawyer because, they're a middle class family. They got some money. They can afford some lawyers. So they do. The lawyer basically tell them, ain't nothing I can do. President said they gotta lock him up. So they fight and they fight and they fight and they finally get Yuri's dad home. And the only reason why they let his ass go was because he was about to die. So the day they let him go, the very next day he died. They proceed to lock up the entire family and put them in concentration camps for about 20 years, it feels like, because she don't even talk about what happens to her in there because it had to be horrific. I mean, it just reminds me exactly of what's happening right now. They're locking those babies up in those cages. Like, it has to be horrific. So this is when Yuri says the switch clicked for her. It changed. She went from, being hopeful that she could integrate herself into the system, because she was like, no, not here. I came from Japan to come here for opportunities. My family came here for opportunities, and this is the land of the free. Not here. But yes, here. This is their history. This is what they do. So then, once that happens to Yuri, she realizes that things have to change. She decides, she's an adult now. She gets married. She actually moves to Harlem, New York, 1950, 1960. And I don't know if you know this, but just like I said in my previous video, the 1960s here in America was like popping and bubbling and simmering and boiling for those civil rights, for that revolutionary talk, for that revolutionary consciousness. And Yuri was smack dab in the epicenter of it. Epicenter. So Miss Yuri Kochiyama is about 1960, and she's living at home with her husband and her kids, and they're older, they're in their teens and things, and things just start happening in the Harlem neighborhood. She starts to meet all the movers and shakers of the different movements. I'm talking about the Black Panther Party. I'm talking about SNCC. I'm talking about Martin Luther King. I'm talking about Malcolm X. I'm talking about everybody. She even took a class from my girl, Fannie Lou Hamer. She took a class from my girl, Fannie Lou Hamer. So she heard her speak, she heard Malcolm speak, she heard Martin speak. She heard members of the Black Panther Party speak. She just got bathed in this revolutionary consciousness, and she really got a chance to hear the different stories from all over the world. She was deep inside the conflicts that were happening in Cuba at that time, and then Cuba just won its revolution, and that just sparked everything. It was it is possible to win. It is. You just have to organize in your interests. And she was seeing that, so she started to organize the parents in Harlem. They organized around, there was and that's the thing about, people don't understand. Revolution is not some kind of, heavenly theory and all talk. There are actual things you can do. She organized the people in her community, the parents in her community, to get a stoplight, a traffic light, put on a corner that cars were speeding through and killing the babies in the neighborhood. It's stuff like that. Those are the things you can organize around. You see a problem in your neighborhood and you fix it. And she organized with Black people. She organized with Latino people. She organized with other Asian people. She understood that we all have the same, we're all being oppressed by the same thing. So we need to fight together. We need to pull together. So that's what I really was looking for this week. And that's what I found when I found Yuri Kochiyama. She was truly the spirit of solidarity. I'm talking about, you need to look up this sister, okay? Because not a lot of people know about her, but they should, okay? She met Malcolm X. She used to speak with Malcolm X. She actually was, if you see that photo, that famous, infamous photo of Malcolm X when they just assassinated him, there is a Asian woman holding him. That's Yuri Kochiyama, y'all. Like, she has been so a part of our history, we don't even fucking know it. It's crazy, it's crazy, it's crazy. She also took over the Statue of Liberty to fight for Puerto Ricans to have liberation from the United States of America. She was arrested, and she was older. She was like, at this time, I want to say she was like 50. Like, Yuri she was a thug. And speaking of thug, another thing that happened, she used to have these revolutionary get-togethers at her house. She called it the Revolutionary Salon. And around 1960, there was a lot of organizing around freeing political prisoners. And one political prisoner in particular that she was fighting for was Mutulu Shakur. And Mutulu Shakur is the stepfather of Tupac Shakur. She actually has, like, memories of 9-year-old Tupac Shakur in her living room speaking to a group of adults, speaking to a group of children about the importance of freeing political prisoners. Like, of how the COINTELPRO that the FBI was putting on black organizations and black revolutionary organizations was killing black families. It was throwing black men in jail and leaving black women to be alone and raising these kids. And it was just like, she has deep history, proof of her solidarity with so many different nations. She understood that her own nation, coming from Japan, being a Japanese American, that they had imperial, pursuits and things like that. And she spoke out against it. She didn't, just because she was Japanese, she didn't let that slide, Like, she spoke out against the injustices from her own people. She spoke out against racism. She spoke about building the bridge. She was like, let's not build walls. That's not what we did before colonization. We were building bridges. Like, why do you think so much of our culture just, when you look at it, it's so intertwined? There's a reason for that. And it's like, Yuri Kochiyama, where do I even stop? Like, she spoke out against racism. She spoke out against inequity. She spoke out against capitalism and colonialism. She even spoke out against 9/11, like racism against our Muslim brothers and sisters and siblings. She said that basically that shit ain't gonna fly. That shit don't cut it. Like, we need to show solidarity. So this week, that's the spirit I've been in, I finally got my kids down for a nap today. Shit was getting crazy. But Yuri Kochiyama, she really, really brought it home for me. So I hope you guys will check out Yuri Kochiyama and follow Black Hammer Organization so you can learn how to organize in your interests.